Welcome to this lecture series on aspects of Western philosophy, module 35. In continuation with the previous lecture, we will see the philosophy of Martin Heidegger, the great German philosopher. See, one important feature of 20th century European thought, European philosophy, whether it is continental or analytical, is the importance they have given for language. They have given to language such an important place. Of course, Heidegger is also sort of taking a linguistic turn, which we will not be discussing in this lecture, but it's so important to note that the way in which these thinkers, both in the analytical and in the continental traditions, they conceive philosophy and do philosophy in a characteristically different manner than their predecessors. While the analytic philosophers were most of them subscribe to this whole notion of philosophy is a language analysis. The continental philosophers took diverse perspectives, and Heidegger is such an important figure in 20th century philosophy, continental philosophy, so much so that his influence is so important. His many other traditions of philosophy, for example, existentialism, whether it is Sartrean form of existentialism or even other kinds of existential thinkers, they were all tremendously influenced by Heidegger's philosophy of design, which we are going to address today. And that is why it is justifiably Richard Rorty calls the current day, the contemporary philosophy as he has been influenced by three very important philosophers. One is Wittgenstein, another one is Heidegger, the third one is William James. Heidegger is in that sense a very important thinker, and we in this particular lecture would be dealing basically with two issues. The first one is authentic and inauthentic existence of design. The second one is the concept of truth, the notion of truth as disclosure or unconcealment. But before we actually start discussing these themes, these topics, we have to understand or elaborate a little bit the concept of design, which we have introduced in the previous lecture, because it is this concept, the concept of design, which is at the center of Heidegger's philosophical thinking. And though it is true that Heidegger later on changes his views, he has got two philosophies, there is a later Heidegger and an early Heidegger, but there are certain issues, certain problems which remain the same. For instance, the problem of being, that was at the center, and also the importance he had given to design. So, and as I have already mentioned, Heidegger has influenced many thinkers, notably the existential philosophers, the existentialists, but Heidegger himself preferred to disassociate himself from existentialism and disliked the title existential philosopher. We will see the concept of design in connection with the central issue in his philosophy, the problem of being. As I mentioned in the previous lecture, the problem of being is it is a problem for design, it becomes a problem only for design. So, in that sense, design is a very important concept. Design is the being of man or being in the world. So, the meaning of being needs to be understood by understanding the destination of being or its final end, which is to be found in design. This is something which we have discussed in the previous lecture, that there is something called the destination of being and the final end of being. All these, the destination and the final end of being, need to be located in design, in the design's life or the ontological structure of design. So, in that sense, the analytic, existential analytic of design becomes a very important concern for Heidegger. And here design refers both to human being and to the type of being that humans have. So, see, the concept of design itself is being a very important concept and a very complex notion. It is very difficult to understand what does it mean by this concept. He has expressions like my design or the Dasein of man, or there is a possibility that Dasein is lost and gained. So, all these complex expressions make the notion of Dasein extremely complex. The problems involved in translation from German to English, that also creates some confusions between intent and meaning. So, all these factors add to the difficulties of understanding Heidegger in the proper way. And here we can see that the root meaning of the noun, namely being there or being here. The word Dasein, actually Dasein, actually means being there or being here, which means being in the world. For Heidegger, the being of man is not an abstract entity which can be located in a transcendental domain like the transcendental subjectivity of Husserl. It is a being which needs to be essentially located in the world among other beings and other entities. So, in that sense, Heidegger's concept of being of man is extremely important, very significant. Let us see what he means by phenomenology. We have already seen this, I am just trying to clarify it in the context of the discussion we are going to have today in this lecture. It is to make transparent the being of being to the being for whom being is an issue. Very interesting expression. It says that phenomenology makes transparent the being of being to the being for whom being is an issue. So, it is for Dasein, and only for Dasein being, the question of being is an issue. Explore where experiences occur and for whom experiences occur. It is for the being of man experiences occur, and it is in the being of man experiences occur. So, you have to actually begin your analysis with an examination of this being, the being of man, which is the being in the world, which is the being here and being there, the existential analytic of Dasein. And why Dasein? What is Dasein? Dasein is different from other entities, that is one reason which we have already examined in the previous lecture. So, I am not going to elaborate it. Definitely the being of man is different from the being of other entities, and for this Heidegger says it is only for the being of man the question of being can be raised. Dasein has an understanding of being and can raise the question of being, and it's in its being, this being itself is an issue for it, and Dasein understands itself in its being. So, these are the reasons why Dasein, why such a kind of analytic ontology of Dasein is being preferred. And now let us see the relationship between Dasein and the world, because we have already seen that Dasein is primarily being in the world, and it finds itself in the world, it is in the world not in a way other entities are in it, like any other entities, for example this computer or this camera or the chair are also in the world, but in the being of man is in the world in a very characteristically different manner. It understands the world as a range of possibilities. It is a world, it is a domain, it is a horizon of all its actions. I mean, I understand this world. When I leave this world, what happens is that I understand this world by relating the entities in this world to me, to my background. Everything that comes around, I mean that finds around me has a use for me. Say for example, this computer is for me to use it to work, the chair is for me to sit, the water bottle is for me to carry water, the camera is for me to take pictures, the pen is for me to write. So, all these entities have meanings for me independent of what these entities are. I mean, what these entities actually are is not a major concern. What is a concern is they all have some use, I mean they are all understood by me as something. So, I relate them with me. So, this is something which distinguishes the being of man from the being of other entities. So, Dasein understand the world as a range of possibilities. I can do so many things in this world. I actually project myself into this world. This is Heidegger's language, projection of possibilities by doing certain things. Dasein always has understood itself in terms of its possibilities, and it is constantly more than it factually is. this whole idea of what I am factually is, what Dasein is factually is, it's more than that, because it's always projects certain possibilities to the future. When I live in this world, I live in this world in terms of my projects, my ambitions, the things which I plan to do, and objects around me, the way in which I am going to use them, employ them for my purposes. So in that sense, I am definitely more than what I am factually is. Dasein needs a world populated with entities for it to engage with. So there is a definite way in which Dasein, the being of man, distinguishes and understands itself from the being of other entities, that these entities are there for the being of man. Again, it is a being in the world, cannot escape from the world. So there is something called, Heidegger calls it a kind of facticity or kind of thrownness. I always find myself in this world and I cannot escape from this world. If I want to live, I have to live in this world, and facticity and thrownness are inevitable. There is no way you can escape, your existence can escape, the being of man can escape being situated, thrown into a world of objects, entities and possibilities. So on the one hand, you can say that there is freedom, because I will explain this concept slightly later, because there is freedom, because when you live in this world, you are free to do certain things. You are unlike other objects. Other objects are being used by others, they have no freedom, but in the case of man, the being of man has got freedom. But at the same time, there is something called facticity. I find myself here, I am limited to that, constrained by the fact that I am here. So in that sense, my freedom is constrained, but on the other hand, I have freedom to do certain things. So there is a kind of apparent conflict between these two aspects of the being of man. So here is a passage from Being and Time, I quote: "The essence of Dasein lies in its existence. According to those characteristics which can be exhibited in this entity are not properties present at hand of some entity which looks so and so and is itself present at hand. They are in each case possible ways for it to be, and no more than that. So when we designate this entity with the term Dasein, we are expressing not its what, as if it were a table, house or tree, but its being," unquote. So I just read the first sentence once again: the essence of Dasein lies in its existence. Here it distinguishes itself from other entities. Other entities, I mean these concepts will be elaborated in the next lecture, where we will be discussing existentialism. So I am not going to the details now, but there is a definite a specific way in which Dasein's being is different from the being of other entities. So when we designate this entity with the term Dasein or being in the world, we are expressing not its what, like a table or a chair or a house, but its being. So it is something which has got a being, a kind of free existence, we can so to say. And now we have already mentioned that Dasein is a being in the world, it finds itself in the world, the thrownness aspect of Dasein, the facticity of Dasein. Now there is one more aspect which is also very important, which is actually not very different from being in the world, that is being with others, because Dasein finds itself always in a world which it shares with other people. So Dasein is essentially being with others. It is an ontological component of Dasein. See, the being always with others is actually, it constitutes the ontological character of Dasein, being with others, like it is a social being in that sense, we can call it. Dasein and the world are internally related, so it is being in the world, and other people have a role in deciding the structure of the world, because the world, my world, is not something which I myself have created. It is not the world which is per se given a priori, no, it is a world which I too contribute in creating along with other people. So there is also a very important socio-political cultural world where other people, being of other people also participate in creating, where I am also a participant. So in that sense other people have a role in deciding the structure of the world inhabits it along with other beings like itself, and no one is himself in everydayness. This is what Heidegger says in Being and Time. No one is himself in everydayness. Everydayness means, you know, in our everyday day to day existence, no one is himself, because the world in which one person, say for instance I find myself, I am not alone in this world, and this world is not my creation or God's creation, it is a creation of people like me. Along with others I too create it, I too contribute to its creation. So in that sense no one is alone. What Dasein works upon is provided by others. So others play again a very crucial role in my life. So this is again an aspect of my facticity. As I already mentioned, this world is created by others. Okay. So there are several conditions, several institutions in this world, several possibilities in this world. Say for instance when I work in IIT Madras as a faculty member, it is not 100% my choice. Of course I can say that it is my choice in one sense, that I can, if I want I can leave this place, or it is my conscious choice that I have taken up this job. But for me to take up this job, such a profession should exist, such an institution should exist, education institution, a profession of a faculty member, a professor or associate professor, whatever it is, that should exist. So that is not created by me, that is already there. So in that sense what the being of man works upon is provided by others. So others play a very crucial role in deciding my own ontological character. What Dasein produces is destined for others. Again see what I do here when I engage a class, when I teach, this is a profession which I can, so to say, for the sake of argument, let us say that this is a profession which I have consciously undertaken. So in that sense I can say that okay, by being a faculty member of IIT Madras I am creating my own identity, so which I create, for the sake of argument let us accept it so. But even that, even when I do certain things here, teaching, engaging classes, even this class itself, it is destined for others. It is not, I am not doing it completely for myself. If I am a painter or a musician, I paint and sing also for others. If others are not there, my activities would become meaningless. So that is very important. So again, if I am a painter, the institution of painting is produced by others and my painting are for others to appreciate. This is what I just explained. And again the whereof and the towards which of equipment relate the work world of other people. So there is a whereof and towards which, there is a destiny, it is for others, it is destined for others. Again the readiness to hand of objects for me is not merely their readiness to hand for my design alone. So if I am a painter, I will be using a lot of things, canvas, colors and other things, and create lot of images and other things. Okay, so I can say that these are readiness to hand objects for me, but it is not just for me alone, it is for everyone, it is for others, because my work is also for others. And again Dasein is being with, being of Dasein is being with. Dasein's orientation towards ready to hand objects is characterized by concern for others. I mean this is what I just mentioned, there is a concern for others, a solicitude we can say. Say when I teach, when I engage a class in IIT Madras, I am basically doing it for my students, for others, for the society. I am being part of a nation building activity. So it is all for others, it is a kind of concern for others, concern not in the emotional sense of the term, but in a very existential and ontological sense of the term concern. So that is why Heidegger calls it, it is of solicitude. And then attitudes like if I am indifferent to something, or hostility, when I show hostility, etc. Even such attitudes, even indifference shows this solicitude according to Heidegger. So this is again from Being and Time, I quote, "The who is not this one, not that one, not oneself, not some people, and not the sum of them all. The who is the neuter, the they. So there is a concept of the they Heidegger referred to, the world, the social world. It is, there is a they, which is actually not one particular, I mean you can't specify who is this they, it is a kind of neuter they. Again another quote, I quote, the they which supplies the answer to the question of the who of everyday design is the nobody to whom every design has already surrendered itself in being among one another, being and time, unquote. The being of design can be characterized, can be picturized in this way. So you have the being in the world here, and being in the world is design, where the world actually is the world as our world, it is to be conceived as our world, it is not the individual design's world, something which is a subjective domain, no, it is always necessarily a world of others as well. So it is our world, and the world is again can be divided into the world of entities which are there for ready to hand objects like cameras, computers and other things around me, and there is also a social world where other people are there, where I also belong to that society. So there is a kind of interconnectedness here. As I already mentioned, the world is our world and the social world is my world and the world of other people, and the world of entities are there available for me as ready to hand objects, but when I use them I use it for others, in my living with others, in my being with others I employ them. So there is a kind of intersubjectivity, though I as a subject use them, the equipment, the tools, all these things I use, but I am using it not for me, there is a kind of solicitude, a concern for others. So there is intersubjectivity, and Heidegger often says that design is always mine. So that is again another very complex expression which can mean many things. He says design is always mine, so there is no way that I will be losing my design, I mean if you take it literally. But again, as I mentioned earlier, Heidegger says that I gain my design. Okay, probably what he means is that there is something called authentic and inauthentic design. I am coming to that, we will discuss it in this lecture itself. So before we actually go on discussing that, let us see this mindness and being with. There is a kind of apparent contradiction between these two ideas. Design is mine. When I say design is mine, it is so individualistic, I am individualizing my design, it's me, I mean it is so authentically me, it is pure me, I can say, unadulterated I can even say. But again on the other hand, it is being with, okay, it is being with others, being in the world, social world, and I too have to share a world of other people, and all the activities I do, I am participating in certain practices which are created by other people and they are intended for other people. So in that sense there is an apparent contradiction between this mindness and being with, both are features of my ontological character. Social world, a world of both others and I, again there is also this apparent contradiction comes in. Subjectivity and intersubjectivity, like there is a subjectivity, but essentially we would understand that it is an intersubjectivity. Design is not just design in isolation, but design is always a being in the world. It is not a being in isolation, it is a being in the world. It is not an abstract pure being of Husserl or Plato or any of those philosophers, but it is a being which is concrete, which exists in this world. So intersubjectivity is a specification of the subject according to Heidegger. So that is why it is being there or being in the world, not a being in isolation, a pure being. The relationship between subjectivity and intersubjectivity determines design's everyday mode of existence, and there is, in this context we can talk about authenticity. Loss of authentic individuality is a possibility in everyday in average everyday existence. It is an active possibility that in our everyday kind of a life I might lose my authentic individuality. So now Heidegger is going to talk about that. What is it? Dasein's existence in this world. Dasein can basically exist in two different ways. One is authentic existence, another one is inauthentic existence. In authentic existence you take responsibility of what you do, you are what you are. In inauthentic existence again it is Dasein which is inauthentic. It is not that inauthentic existence you lose it, it is Dasein which is inauthentic, where you are not your usual self. Authentic and inauthentic existences, to be authentic is to be something of its own. So something of its own again is a metaphor, something of its own, as if there are occasions in which I am not my own, I mean I do not own myself. Of course there are occasions where I do not own myself. See, for example, I will give you a very plain example, very commonsensical example from day to day life. When I imitate a film star, because I admire him a lot, so I try to imitate him, like his hairstyle, his everything, even in my walk, in my voice, I try to emulate him. So in all aspects I try to imitate him. There what is happening, that I am losing my authentic individuality, I am submitting it, I am surrendering it to something else, to the they, because this actor actually whom I admire belongs to the world of the they. So I am not being my own self, I am rather surrendering myself to the they and imitating someone else. So this is just to give a very commonsensical example from day to day life. When we try to understand the meaning of the word authenticity, the Greek word autos means done by one's own hand, where one is self sufficient. Again, being authentic and inauthentic are Dasein's possibilities, as I already mentioned. Even to become inauthentic is a choice. Say for instance, as the example which I have cited just now, when I imitate an actor, I start imagining that I am that person. So here what happens is that is also my possibility, surrendering my authenticity is also my possibility. When it comes to authentic existence, this is again a very interesting concept in Heidegger, because he ontologizes the idea of authenticity. To be authentic is to be in a certain way, to act and live in a certain way, to be authentic, and to be inauthentic is also to act and live in a certain another way, which is not probably the original way in which I should be living and I should be acting, I should be doing things, but still it is a way which I have chosen. So it is it's my own choice, I would rather say that there I have surrendered my authenticity. So to be Dasein is to ask certain question concerning the problem of being and also of one's own existence. So this is again a very active possibility of Dasein alone, to act the question concerning the problem of being, to be concerned about this problem. They become an issue only for an authentic being, not to exist as an ontic entity among other entities, not to be static being, constantly ask, search and become. So this is another thing, the feature, one of the essential features of authentic Dasein is to seek, to ask, to search, to become, I mean be in that process of exploring rather than just conforming to what is being what is happening around you. So rather than being a blind conformist of what is going around you, you try to be more explorative, try to explore possibilities, more possibilities which are your own, and act in this world accordingly. In German the word authentic is it is eigentlich in German, means real or proper, something which is real or proper, and inauthentic means not literal, something which is figurative, like it is not literally what it means, but it is figurative. Dasein is sometimes authentic and sometimes not. Dasein's authenticity is hidden but nonetheless given beforehand. So this is another very important aspect, it is given beforehand. My Dasein is actually given beforehand. It is, since it is given beforehand, I can talk about authentic and inauthentic ways of existence. If it is not given beforehand, I cannot talk about it, but it is not given beforehand in the sense of an essence of me, something like my Atman or whatever. It is not in that sense, it is given to me, but that range of possibilities, that possibilities of understanding and relating to the world in a certain way, certain unique manner, they are all already there. It is not a substance with an essential nature and with properties or accidents, something like as I already mentioned, something like an Atman or a soul which has got certain properties and accidents, which is a substance, not in the sense that there is an essence which I have. Design's potentiality or possibility is prior to its actuality. So actually what am I? Actually what am I is based on several conditions, several factors. These conditions and factors would probably make me what I am, that is true, but again I might come across or I might find myself in several circumstances. See, today I am working in IIT Madras, or today I am working in somewhere else, say tomorrow again I am working in another university, say for example MIT. So there the situation is different, I find myself in an entirely different world there. Here I am finding myself in a very unique world, but my potentialities or possibility is prior to this actuality, whether I am working here in IIT or in MIT, my potentialities and possibility is prior to that. So accordingly I would be negotiating myself, moving here in this place or wherever place I am working. Design is not a definite actual thing, but the possibility. So this is where he says, if it is something called an essence, a substance, the essence of a substance, then it's an actuality, then it's definite, it's something which is so definite, but here it's a possibility. So design needs to be understood in terms of its possibilities, the possibility of being which I have, the possibility of being my own being, that is what determines my design. So the more I deviate from that possibilities, I am losing my design, or I am inauthentically existing. Design's way of being involves the capacity to choose among several possible ways of being. The ways of being involves the capacity to choose among several possible ways of being. There are several possible ways of being. I can even when I work in IIT Madras, I can actually carry out this profession of being a faculty member in IIT Madras in several ways. I can be a very lazy professor, I can be a very active and enthusiastic person. There are several possibilities I have. Of course some of them are dangerous possibilities. If I bunk classes, then that is a problem, okay, and if I am very cruel to my students, that is again a problem which I am not supposed to. If I am unfair to my students, but they are all my possibilities, they are all my possibilities, and they all, so that is what all the possibilities would decide what I am. For instance, my inauthenticity is also a possibility, the ways I can exist inauthentically is also a possibility. So design and authentic existence, design needs to be addressed with a personal pronoun I or you, not it, something, an object, where I refer to an object, a hammer or a computer, but it is an I or a you, it is mine. I have already mentioned this, being of other entities which are merely present at hand. That, see this water bottle, the being of this water bottle is something which is merely present at hand, something which I can use, does not have an entity, does not have a being of its own. Design can take charge of its own being. So this is the possibility of design, I can take charge of my own being, that is authentic existence. Being of man is whatever it decides or has decided to be. Design is its possibility. To be authentic in this sense is to have a room for one's own, have a mind of one's own, being one's own master, to be true to one's own self, to be one's own person, to do one's own thing. Design is not equated with human being in that sense. There is a design of man. So that is why it is possibilities. It's actually, we are referring to possibilities when we refer to design. Da in design refers to the disclosedness of being. So now in this context, what is inauthenticity then? Average everyday mode of existence of design. So just to live a life with others, which others live. It is not my own life I am living, I am living a life what others live. Mindness of design takes the form of they. So there is no mine but only a they, I become one of them. Self is a they self, design loses the in the they. So I get lost, I mean I lose my design in the they, and it understands the world in the way they make it available to it. Self understanding too will be inauthentic, accept prevailing opinion, conform to what they does and thinks, the they does and thinks. So I am not exercising my own authentic potentialities of existence, but just follow what others do. One's own design gets completely dissolved into a kind of being of the others. So see, there is always a way in which I would ideally do things in this world, I would ideally live in this world. So instead of pursuing those my authentic genuine ways of doing and living in this world, I just copy what others do, I just conform to the accepted practices. That is the inauthentic way of being. And in this context, regaining your design, your authentic being becomes important, not by isolating oneself from others. It is not that, you know, see, for instance, if I am a classical musician, Carnatic musician, I will have to definitely learn certain basic things which all Carnatic musicians should have to learn, the basic notations and other details. I can't say that, I mean I want to be so authentic and original and invent my own ragas and other things. I mean there are certain specified number of ragas and specified ways of maneuvering when you are a Carnatic classical musician. So I can't say that these things are not acceptable for me, I want originality and authenticity. Originality and authenticity is not to be expressed in that fashion. You have to accept those practices which are customs which are there in the world. They are not created by me, they are there, they are created by the they. Of course, just by participating in it I won't be losing my authenticity. So it is not by isolating oneself from others. Being with is not a limitation, it is a typical human way of being. I mean to be a musician I have to use all these accepted practices. That is not something which is unusual, that is my way of being, that is man's way of being. Authenticity consists in attaining a difference in relationship. So it is not doing things entirely in a different way, okay, I mean calling something else as music, but participating in the process, participating in the practices, but still doing it in a different way. Design has to be with others, occupy with others in a practice, has a role in the practice. Only, I mean my identity is always a role identity, either I am a painter or a faculty member, teacher or a musician or a cricketer, whatever I am. These are all practices which I have not created, but in these accepted already created practices I have certain roles, I occupy certain roles. These roles would decide what I am. So practices are not its creations, the design's creations, they are socially defined and culturally inherited tasks, they are necessary for us, but realize its possibilities in such practices. Example of music which I have cited. Now what is design's being in this context? Placed in an interpersonal context of various practices. So I find myself in an interpersonal context of various practices, you know, this classroom for instance, when I work in IIT Madras, there are several things I do as a faculty member in IIT Madras, several practices that go around me which are not my creations. in an impersonal context, as others can also occupy those roles and engage in such practices. Self understanding starts with understanding oneself by relating to such impersonal context. So, my self understanding as a philosopher, as a faculty member here, this necessarily happens by relating myself to such impersonal context of IIT Madras, of philosophy or whatever. I relate myself to a function that anyone can perform in order to understand myself. Authentic existence does not mean insulating yourself or excluding you completely from common practices, but to do it differently. Attaining with the they self, practices and roles created by the they, authenticity is an achievement in that sense. The Dasein has to discover the world in its own way, different from the they self. It is participating in the practices, but differentiating oneself from the they self. Do not be the they, be always mine, retain that mine, that Dasein. In authentic existence, I refuse to take responsibility of my actions, okay, and Dasein is responsible for its inauthentic existence as well. As I mentioned earlier, inauthentic means I do not take responsibility because it is they, I am part of the they, or rather I am the they self there. But when I am myself, I am in my own, then I have to take responsibilities, then the decisions are mine. My inauthentic being is owned by me, so inauthentic being is also owned by me. Now let us see very briefly see Dasein's ontological structure to understand the concept of disclosure, truth as disclosure, which is a very unique conception of Heidegger. It is understood as a disclosedness or care, interpreted in terms of the three temporal dimensions of past, where your past, thrownness or disposedness, then future, where I project myself to future, my possibilities and understanding, and present, where I find myself situated in a context, fallenness or fascination. And thrownness is I find myself in a world, disposedness is Dasein's receptiveness. It is based on this disposedness I receive things manifested in the different moods on the basis of which the world discloses to me differently. Say for example, when I am happy, the entire world discloses itself to me in a different way. When I am so sad and depressed, the same world would be disclosing to me in a different way. So it's the disposedness of Dasein, which is understood in terms of various moods, which decide in a very crucial way my ontological character, my way of understanding the world. Projection: every concrete situation offers a range of possibilities for acting, in which Dasein projects itself, and in understanding Dasein projects itself onto such possibilities. So what is understanding is, I am relating myself to certain possibilities, to future, and in that sense every understanding, when I understand something, say for instance when I understand an object in front of me as a chair, I understand it as by relating itself to my conditions, that it is something where I can sit, I can use for certain purposes, it is meant for certain purpose in a social context. All these objects, entities, I understand in this way by relating them to me, to my context. So in that sense I can say that all understanding is self understanding. Then fallenness, where fallen away from itself as an authentic potentiality for being itself and has fallen unto the world, manifested in idle talk, curiosity and ambiguity. I am not going to elaborate these topics, these concepts, because the most important thing is to understand the notion of disclosedness now, or disclosure. It involves a closing off or covering up of any real understanding of the world. Now let us see the truth as unconcealment, this concept. There are certain traditional conceptions of truth which says that conformity between our judgment and fact is so central, so integral to our traditional understanding of truth, which Heidegger opposes. Heidegger has a very interesting and a very different conception of truth, where he understands truth as aletheia or unconcealment, truth as attaching to prepositions, like that is a traditional conception where correspondence between prepositions and states of affairs. When I say that there are 2 chairs in this room, the preposition corresponds to the fact that there are 2 chairs in this room, or when I say there is a TV kept on a table, I am expressing a fact and the preposition corresponds to that particular fact. Heidegger says even this understanding of truth is derivative from a more fundamental understanding of truth as self manifestation or revelation or disclosure. Actually this is what he emphasizes on, truth as disclosure, as unconcealment. Such a correspondence between prepositions and states of affair presupposes a field of intelligibility within which entities may be found. So what is that field of intelligibility? That is the question. That is design's ontological space, ontological horizon. Okay, so unconcealing establishes this prior field of intelligibility. Unconcealing is an a priori transcendental condition for proposition, even for propositional truth. So this theory, this notion of unconcealment according to Heidegger is what characterizes truth and knowledge, everything. I mean they presuppose this unconcealment. So he says that this is a way in which truth was understood by the Greek thinkers, the original Greek thinkers, a meaning of truth which was lost in the course of the history of Western philosophy, where it has become later on identified with what you call correspondence theory, coherence theory and various other theories. So it is a Greek term is aletheia, which means disclosing or uncovering or discovering or revealing or making manifest that which in some sense lies hidden. See this is what I sometime back I mentioned about mood. For instance, let us take an example. I meet a student, one of my students whom I taught long years back, say 10-15 years back I taught him, and I meet him today on my way to my classroom. He comes and meets me and says that I have come to meet you. I feel so happy seeing my student. He is an old student. I feel so happy in seeing him. The student as such, the person as such will not generate such kind of a response to everyone who sees him. Everyone who sees him may not feel happy in the way in which I feel happy. I feel happy, I conceive this person in a particular way, I understand this person in a particular way, I mean with lot of happiness and all that, because there is a context. The context is that we are related in a certain way, he was my student. So all these things are important for Heidegger. The ontological context of the being in the world is important. The Dasein is the field of, is a source of intelligibility. So that is what is meant by the source of intelligibility, the context in which things will become intelligible. Why there is happiness when I see a person, another person who sees him may not be feeling that happiness, because there is a domain of intelligibility, that is me, my Dasein. Truth as unconcealing is possible only because there is Dasein. Without Dasein there would be no truth at all. Entities require Dasein in order to be intelligible, to recognize them as entities that are capable of entering into states of affairs that may correspond to proposition. So all these, see, when I mentioned about the television is on the table, these objectives, these entities like television, table and their interrelationship with one is upon the other, all these presuppose a domain of intelligibility, that is me. Even that is presupposed, I mean that domain of intelligibility is presupposed by the statement for being true in terms of the principle of correspondence. Even things show themselves in many ways depending on the modes of access we have of them. Phenomenology is seeking after a meaning. Meaning is the entity's mode of appearing. Things do not appear themselves, they are uncovered to someone. Thus uncovering pre-requires not only what is being uncovered but also another being. This being is uncovered to, that is to the human being. The Dasein is at the center of this process of uncovering. So truth, meaning, knowledge, everything is possible because there is Dasein, which is a context of intelligibility to which things, events and the world discloses itself. So, it is not correspondence, it is disclosure, it is unconcealment, it is aletheia. Meaning is in that sense interpretation, because there is no the objective universal meaning. Every object it discloses probably differently to different people based on the context, the ontological context of that design. Heidegger links phenomenology with hermeneutics in this sense, and before the questions of being can be answered, one need to ask, or what is questioning the questions of being in the first place. This leads to the analytic of design, which we have already seen, and the things present themselves to us. This presentation itself happens in a manner which is self concealing, and unconcealment is an event that happens to design. That is the way in which things uncover themselves, or design lives in this world, understand this in this world. So, when I understand this world, I understand it in terms of my possibilities, my objectives, my concerns, my projects. So, mine, that ontological horizon of mine, my existence comes into the picture, it is at the center, and everything around me, entities, objects, other people, everything around me, actually I understanding it as essentially relating all of them to me, to my ontological horizon. We encounter entities as beings that are only in virtue of the world within which they can be disclosed and encountered, and unconcealment is not only part of the world but also human condition itself. Uncovering is a way of being in the world. So, to be in the world, to be design, is to encounter this disclosures, this uncovering of objects, to live in this world by relating oneself with other objects, by being in this intersubjective domain of affairs, world affairs, is to encounter such unconcealment, uncovering constantly. The way we are disposed matters, our moods, possibilities, and understanding, all these things I have already explained. So, we will wind up this discussion here. So, the major points which I was trying to highlight is, there are number one, the ontological, the analytic of design, design's ontological analysis, which reveals the structure of design, and then the structure of design as revealed as being in the world with being with others, and there the possibilities of design are two: authentic or inauthentic existence, and to be authentic or to be inauthentic are choices of design, and when design is authentic, it is on its own, otherwise it is just imitating others, it is part of the they. So, here if you delve into the structure of design little deeper, you will understand that this is again constitutive of certain structures, which Heidegger would call four structures of understanding, which is a pre-existent context of meaning, which determines the ontological horizon of each design, and the entire world is uncovered, is unconcealed to this ontological horizon. So, truth needs to be understood not as a correspondence between facts and a proposition, but as unconcealment, where things, the world is uncovered to the unique and peculiar ontological horizon of design. So, this is Heidegger's contribution. We will see his influence, his impact on other philosophers in the coming lectures, where we will be particularly taking up problems in existentialism. Now, let us wind up this lecture. Thank you.